Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today, something a little bit different. We are going to a Boy Scout event, our camping event this weekend, and one of the events you can choose to enter is a push car. A push car is something built out of wood with wheels on solid axles. There's some steering, it's kind of foot powered steering with a little bit of a rope. And basically one boy rides it while three others push it. They have to push it 250 yards and the car has to survive that. The boys the other night built the car and did a great job at it, but we noticed when we went to test it at the end of the night that it wasn't the most stable. It felt a little rickety and has a wicked death wobble when you start pushing it at any kind of speed. So at that point, it was already 10 o'clock at night. So they asked me, can I go home and kind of stabilize it? I don't want to take away from the car that they built, but make it a little more safe. So I said, yep, sure. I'll take it home, see what I can do with it. They've also given me, the boys have also given me permission to paint it if I have time. And that's about it. So let's do that today. All right, so this is the car that they've built. It is not bad. There's an entire sheet of rules that has to apply for safety in order to even be able to enter the race. One of which is these stop blocks on the front that cause you not to be able to oversteer and wind up flipping when you're going fast. At the time when we were reading through the directions, it said 8 quarters wide, and of course nobody had 8 quarters to do it, so we went with an inch. After I went through and read these directions a little bit more, it does say a 1/2 inch, and the judges should not be able to fit more than 8 quarters. So I need to move these blocks in. So I need to move those steering blocks. I need to add some type of brake on the side here that they can pull up to stop in an emergency. We never get to that. This push bar on the back is kind of super wobbly, and it needs to be wide enough to fit 3 boys to push. I need to secure the seat belt a little bit better. Right now it's just tied on the bottom with a rope, so I've got to screw that on a little bit. I need to stabilize this back. This whole kind of thing twists a little bit, and these kind of cross members here have split in the bottom where we screwed them together, so I need to replace these with something a little more stable. The front axle they put on backwards, so I need to unbolt it and flip it around because they put a little camber on it to stabilize it, but because they put it on backwards, I think that's what's causing that death wobble. And if I can get all that done, because the camp out's in like 2 days and I don't have much time with work to work on this, so it's basically just today. I'm gonna see what I can do about making the seat a little more comfortable for them, and then possibly try to put some kind of paint on it. So first thing up on the list, I'm gonna try to get sorted. I'm gonna flip this axle around so that we have something to work with here. I also think it's a little bit too loose, so I'm gonna see if I can tighten that up, but I think they over drilled that a little bit, and that might be causing that wobble too. So I don't know how much there is I can do with it. Put it up on sawhorses just because I'm an old man and I don't want to be down on the ground. Expecting that. All right, so that's that. So we need to not trip over my microphone cord and flip this around. But before I put that back on, wonder if there's, I'll do this where you can see it. All right, so the axle needs to go in this direction. So I'm going to just put an arrow there so I don't get it confused. The boys had drilled this hole too big that this axle or this bolt that pivots turns on. So there's a lot of slop in there. And it also, if you notice, is not center on the board. So I wanted this to be steer as straight as possible. So I found center 1 inch up. We have like 6 inches of axle length to play with. So I just moved it up maybe an inch. And I'm gonna take, so to go extreme with it, what I'm gonna do, instead of drilling a smaller hole that's gonna eventually, as they ride it, it's gonna start oblonging out as the wood softens. So I have these 2 little bushings. So I'm gonna put these bushings on the bolt, drill the hole for the bushings, and that will help it stabilize in there and not wobble out that hole. That may be a little extreme for this thing, but you know, I'm extra. So we're gonna line this up, drill it as straight as we can. All right, that puts us through. Now that's got to go up, and on top of that, we need 2 washers. So we've got these larger washers here that seem a little large. I wonder if there's something else we can use, like those. Let me consult the rule sheet. So it does say we need washers, but I don't think we need such big ones with such big slop in here. Okay, so I'm gonna put 1 bushing in there, 1 bushing in there. That's gonna come up from the bottom. So that washer should be plenty there. That will give it space. And then we can tighten it down from the top as necessary. Nice, okay. So I think this is much better. We took out all of that. I can stabilize this wobble in it. We took out all that slop, essentially, that back and forth slop, and it's much more stable now. I have a front end, we're pointing the right direction. So that's much better. We got a lock nut in place, and that bushing will kind of hold everything stable. In addition, I'm gonna throw 1 more nut on and kind of lock jam this in just so that it can't back off at any point. There we go. Okay. All right. What's next? So we fixed, oh, okay, we need to fix these steering blocks on the front. So let's get these off. We split all these, putting them on. So let's get these off, move them. We'll cut 2 new pieces. They have to be 4 inches long. 2 by 4 inch steering blocks. So 2 inch by 4 inch steering. So these have to be 4 inches long and a 1/2 inch away from the center board. So now that we've actually centered our board too, this threw everything off. So let's take these off, cut new blocks, get new blocks on. All right, so we got 1 cut. Let's cut the other one together. So 4 inches, just on a 2 by 4. Fantastic. All right. So we gotta pre-drill these so we don't split them again. All right, let's get these old blocks off. Battery's dying, of course. Okay. All right, so we want the axle to be straight. There we go. Okay, so that at least is square to that. I can't guarantee these wheels are straight, but at least this is square to that. So this is supposed to be a 1/2 inch from the edge. So 1/2 inch. And this says we're a 1/2 inch too. Okay, so let's clamp that so we don't mess it up. Square there. Square there. Okay. Perfect. And that stops it from oversteering. All right, back to this side. All right, steering blocks on. It's much more stable. Let's look at it down the way. We've got, looks like inward camber. Let's test. We got 31 and roughly 3/8 to the back. And to the front, we've got 32. So yeah, it's definitely pointing in now. That'll be good. It'll slow down a little bit, but it'll stabilize it too and make it much stronger. Those are on, they're all cotter pinned in. So I would say steering is handled. Okay, we need to, I don't know, stabilize the back. Let's do that now. All right, so on the back, we had these 2x4s just kind of screwed, toe-nailed in place here and trying to stabilize this axle from twisting on the frame too much. But it wasn't very strong. We wound up splitting a lot of the wood. It was also interfering with these 2 carriage bolts at the bottom where the actual wheels are mounted. So what I think I'm gonna try to do is cut this square, butt it up against this, and just kind of angle, maybe 45-degree angle this down and end it here right before these bolt lines. That will tie this piece into that so that this can't flex too much against this board. Then once we have this bottom board in, we'll have enough real estate here to put another 2x4 along here. And what I'll do is I'll bring that up to like here on both sides. That should give 3 2x4s across. That should be plenty of stability, all screwed into each other, butting down to this bottom where this is all tied in. That should be super strong. Okay, so I've got this piece for the bottom, then I'm gonna put here, screw this to that. That should stabilize that and stop any twist this way against this board. On top of that, I'm gonna come in with this 2x4, screw it to this adjoining one, That should strengthen this twist going that way. And then finally, I think what I'm gonna do is maybe put one more here, like that. Now that ties that into that, that ties that into that, and that ties that into that, and it looks cool. So a little bit of sanding and we'll, you know, my cuts aren't the best and I'm rushing this, but I think that will be good. We'll repeat that on the other side, and that should solidify this thing really strong, hopefully. Okay, so I flipped it over, I got both sides done, and then it was still a little bit, I was still getting a little bit of a flex in this bottom plate because it was just screwed through with 4 screws to the bottom of that 2x4. So to stabilize it, I ran another 2x4 along the back and just screwed the hell out of it. And then put 2 long, real big lags into this bottom plate, and that stiffened that up real good now. Now, onto the seat belt. They had these seat belts were coming through the back, and they were just tied together with a piece of rope. What I'm gonna do is, so I've got a little bit of this just wood, little pine slats left over from a previous project I did over the winter. What I'm gonna do is just run these along the back here. Oop, wrong one. One side's a little shorter than the other. I'm gonna run these along the back and kind of center them up a little bit like that, and then screw them into the bottom of this seat plate. And that should secure them without damaging the actual seat belt. I didn't want to like screw the seat belt in with washers or something, so let's do that. That's perfect. This is the last thing a kid wants while he's racing, is to have a screw poking him. All right, do the other side. Nice. All right, seat belts secured. What else do we have? We have to fix the push bar and add the brake. Okay, so in my usual fashion, I got into the work and basically forgot to film everything. So here we are. You saw me put the seat on, or fix the front wheels and the push blocks. I basically found some cushion and some old duck canvas. I just kind of folded around and stapled it to the back to make like a cushion out of it. Mounted the brake here on the side of the seat, so it's just a 2x4 screwed in, bolted in underneath, and then a carriage bolt through to another one, and this turns and stops. I put a little rubber I just screwed to the bottom there, just to give it a little more grip, so they pull back and it'll stop and not flip the car. Back here towards the back, I took that 2x4 off. I put these kind of cross 2x4s on top of, resting on top of those boards we put on the back. Put those together on both sides, put one in between, sandwiched it, ran a bunch of screws in between. That really solidified that up, and then put this oak closet bar that I had for a push bar, and then just put the offcuts underneath to kind of make it a little more stable this way and just give it a little more rigidity. But I think that that'll work. So I think that's all that I'm gonna do on it for now, other than I'm gonna take it out back and try to get at least maybe a coat of paint on it. So at least a base coat so it's a color, and then I'll let the boys decorate it from there. So back when I paint it. All right, here it is, painted up, ready to go. It's not the most beautiful paint job, but it'll do in the pinch. I painted the seat brown to match kind of the brown cushion. I mounted the brake on the side that painted brown. I just sprayed the handle black. Painted the inside of the brackets for the wheels black just to clean them up and get rid of that rust color a little bit. And the whole kind of car is that like Scout green and brown kind of color, so I went with that. Then towards the back I painted the push bar black, just to kind of look like a black metal pipe or something, iron pipe, and then came through with some gaffer tape and kind of wrapped grips, 3 grips for 3 pushers. So should be all set, good to go. It's a start, you know. I think I'll probably bring out, like I said, some paint or something and some brushes or something when we actually go camping in the night before the race. I'll let the boys kind of sit around and they can decorate it however they want. But it's at least safe now. I'm not worried about them careening off into, you know, some field somewhere. The kind of death wobble is gone. We did a couple passes up and down the street on it, so it feels a lot safer. Steering radius is much tighter now, so you can't turn too fast, but that's the point. You know, it's supposed to kind of go straight and just have wide turns, or you got to kind of back and forth it, you know, to make a sharp turn. So, but everything else is good and secure. Ropes tied together, seat belt's good. I think we should be good to go. All right, well, that's it for today. A little bit of a different video, you know, a little different than normal, but I figured it might be interesting for some of you guys. So anyway, if you like this type of content, subscribe down below, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment. If you're in a scouting group, have you ever done this kind of push car thing before? This is the first time we built something like this. I don't know if we're gonna keep it and maybe use it for future stuff and refine it over time, or what. Also got the helmet up here because it's a rule, you gotta have a helmet. So put it there so it reminds me to take the thing. And I think the 3 pieces of wood that we kind of sandwiched together to make the push bar more solid is a perfect helmet rest. So there we go. Anyway, I'll see you on the next one.